welcome to my YouTube channel. This is Reading Stories with Tim, and let's get back. I'm sorry I've been away for a while. We're going to start reading Chapter 8, Part 7, I think. Well, let's get to it, and it's called A Family Reunion in the book Mouse on a Motorcycle by Beverly Cleary. So let's get into Chapter 8. The next thing Ralph knew, his mother was shaking him by the shoulders. "Wake up," she said. "Ralph, wake up. Room service has brought us another meal." Room service? Ralph rubbed his eyes, not believing what he had heard. Room service has brought our dinner? "Yes, a real feast. A whole blueberry muffin and a chocolate chip cookie," said Ralph's mother. "Get up. We are having a family reunion." It all came back to Ralph. "Oh, room service," he said, understanding at last. "You mean the boy Kenneth. He is room service to me." Ralph's mother sounded happy and cheerful. Ralph sat up already. His aunt and uncle and many squeaky cousins were arriving by the secret path in the space between the walls. It was a long time since anyone had enough food for a family reunion, and there was rejoicing in the mouse nest for everyone but Ralph. He was thinking of the motorcycle he had lost and the promise he had broken. He had a dull, heavy feeling in his pit of his stomach, and he did not feel like celebrating. Why, there, Ralph," squeaking his Aunt Sissy, who thought she was better than the rest of the family because she lived in the bridal suite where she led her relatives to believe riches of the rich fell to the carpet when the bride took off her hat and the groom shook out his coat. The rest of the family knew Aunt Sissy was not as grand as she pretended to be, because very few brides and grooms came to the hotel these days. "My, how you grown!" Ralph never knew what to say when people told him how he had grown. Well, if it isn't Ralph," said Uncle Lester, who had a neat nest inside the walls of the housekeeper office where the maids dropped doughnuts crumbs every morning at 10 o'clock when they had their coffee. "What's this? I heard about you riding up and down the halls on a motorcycle." Uncle Lester has a way of saying the wrong thing at the wrong time. My land, a motorcycle," said old Aunt Dorothy. "Isn't that pretty dangerous?" "Wouldn't mind riding one myself if I were a few years younger," said Uncle Lester. All the little cousins came crawling around Ralph. "Show us your motorcycle," they squeaked. "We want to ride it." "Come on, give us a ride on your motorcycle, Ralph." "Huh? Ralph? Come on, Ralph, please." Ralph knew he was expecting to be polite to all his relatives, even the squeaky little cousins. Well, embarrassed and ashamed, he looked down at the floor. "I sort of lost the motorcycle in a pile of sheets and pillowcases." "Lost the motorcycle? Oh, Ralph!" cried his mother, gently alarmed. Ralph knew what she was thinking. Did this mean the end of room service? Did she have to go back to perfume crumbs from his brothers and sisters? "That's a young mouse for you," said trackless Uncle Lester. "Can't take care of anything." "If anybody asks me, I think it's a good thing we lost it," said Aunt Dorothy. "Riding a motorcycle is just plain fool's-hearted." All the little cousins looked disappointed and scholarly. "I don't think he ever had a motorcycle," said one. "I bet he just made it up," said another, and the rest agreed. Ralph felt terrible. The family reunion swirled on around him. The muffin and cookies were devoured. Cousins fought over the blueberries. Uncles asked for second helpings. Everyone talked at once. The little cousins finished their dinner and went racing around the mouse nest. The aunts and uncles raised their voices to have heard above the racket their children made. Suddenly there came from the knothole a noise that drowned out the squeaky and squirrels of young mice at play. Shh! Not a mouse moved. They looked at one another, too terrified to speak. Psst! Hey, Ralph, come on out, whispered Kenneth at the entrance to this mouse nest. Ralph's mother gave him a little shove, but no one spoke. With heavy feet, Ralph walked to the knothole, but he did not go out into the room 215. What do you want? He asked. You and your family better be quiet in there or my mom will hear you. You know how she is about mice, Kenneth said. I don't know why people say things are as quiet as mice. You sound like a pretty noisy bunch to me. Behind Ralph, his relatives began to tiptoe quietly away to their own homes, leaving his mother to do all the cleaning up. Did you have a nice picnic? Ralph asked, dealing with what he must tell the boys. Yes, we saw an old mining town with a real jail with bars on the windows. Kenneth reached into his pocket and pulled out something curved and hard and white with a rubber band fastened to it with a piece of scotch tape. I brought you a present, he said. Come on out. Puzzled and curious, Ralph squeezed through the knothole. What is it? He asked. Whatever the object was, he had never seen anything like it. Half a ping pong ball I found down in the game room, said Kenneth. See, I patted the inside with this. Lay down and anchor the rubber bands to the top with scotch tape. What for? Ralph still did not understand. A crash helmet for you, Kenneth said the half ping pong ball on Ralph's head and slipped the rubber band carefully around his whiskers until it rested under his chin. There, that's just right. You need it big so there will be plenty of room for your ears. When you ride a motorcycle, you need a crash helmet. Ralph peered at Kenneth Ralph peered at Kenneth from under his new crash helmet, which rested lightly on his head. He knew he looked very much a motorcycle racer, but never in his whole life had he felt so ashamed. He longed to crawl off into his hole and never face Kenneth again, but his conscience, which until now he did not know he had, will not let him. There was nothing to do but stand there in his fine new crash helmet and confess. You might as well know, he told Kenneth. I lost the motorcycle. I lost the motorcycle, Kenneth, who had been kneeling, sat back on his heels. But how? I rode it by mistake into a pillowcase in a heap of linens on the floor, and it got dumped into the laundry hamper, confessed Ralph. You rode it into the pillowcase? Repeat Kenneth. But you weren't supposed to ride it in the daytime, you promised. I know, agreed Ralph miserably. I didn't expectly mean to ride it. But you did, Kenneth's voice was screaming. Well, you see, the maid was vacuuming under the bed, and I began, begged Ralph, and stopped. Oh, what's the use? I rode it, and I lost it, and it's probably gone to the laundry by now, and I'm sorry. The boy and the mouse was silent. Both were thinking about the little motorcycle, which it cleaned linens and a pair of shiny chromed exhaust pipes. The motorcycle was my very most favorite of all my cars, said Kenneth. I saved my allowance and bought it myself. Ralph hung his head in his crash helmet. There was nothing more he could say. It was a terrible thing he had done. I guess I should have known you weren't old enough to be trusted with a motorcycle, said Kenneth. The boy could not have said. anything that would hurt Ralph. Dun dun dun. End of chapter 8, part 7. We're going to continue this soon with part 8 on chapter 9 called Ralph Takes Command. That's going to be soon. So this is chapter 9 coming soon. And I want to thank you for listening to all my other chapters 1 through 8 of The Mouse on a Motorcycle by Beverly Cleary. This is Tim, and this is Stories. This is Reading Stories with Tim on Tim's Vlog Spots. If you like, you can subscribe. If you like, you can subscribe and hit that subscribe button. If you if you like it, sorry. If you like it, hit the like button. If you want to get notifications, press the notification button. Hit all, and you get notifications. Update notifications from me, letting you know what's going on. And this is another Reading Stories with Tim on YouTube. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving.